tickets early. Before I get into the meetings and events that have taken place, I just want to offer congratulations to some of our community members. Seneca Henhawk and Clayton McNaughton received certificates of recognition from Council for their years of volunteering in the community. And it was fitting that the certificates were presented during National Volunteer Week. Jody Hill from our office also did a video featuring both Seneca and Clayton, and you can view it on the Six Nations website or on YouTube. Mackenzie Sandy, who is the daughter of Karen Sandy, was appointed to the Minister of Education Student Advisory Council. This is a group of approximately 60 students from all parts of the education system and regions of the province. These students will share their ideas and provide advice to the Minister on a variety of topics regarding Ontario's education system. This is a place where students have a voice and where they will be heard. Mackenzie currently attends Hagersville Secondary School and is the chair of the Indigenous Students Club. Congratulations also go out to Graham Green, who is from Six Nations and was an Academy Award nominee a few years back for Dances with Wolves. Graham was just recently awarded the Order of Canada. And I've learned that we have a number of young people who are playing on a variety of lacrosse teams in the United States, and a lot of them were winning championships and winning games and tournaments this past weekend, so we want to say congratulations to them. So congratulations to Seneca, Clayton, Mackenzie, Graham, and all the lacrosse players. We are all proud of you and your accomplishments. So some of the meetings and engagements, events that have happened since our last update. I've been asked to sit on the Senior Executive Advisory Council at the Wilfrid Laurier University in Brantford, and I attended the initial meeting on April 11th. And as I had indicated, the week of April 11th was National Volunteer Week, and I participated in flag-raising ceremonies at both the City of Brantford and the County of Brant. And I'm pleased to say that a number of councillors took a food handling course on April 14th, because we are involved in a number of events where we are asked to help serve the food. The Miles to Go Cancer Support Group has also held their open house, which was very well attended. And on the 15th of April, we organized a meeting between some of the gas retailers and the Ministry of Finance officials. There was concern about the gas cards, and we did get a letter of Ministry of Finance about that with respect to what cards can be used, and that was included in our last newsletter. If anybody would like a copy of that, just contact our office. On April 16th, Councillor Bob Johnson and I attended the Grand River Leadership Prayer Breakfast, which was held at Fisherville. And later in the day, I attended the annual meeting of the Six Nations Farmers Association. As I had mentioned, I was at a Political Confederacy Chiefs of Ontario meeting on April 17th, which was held prior to the meeting we had with the Premier, Kathleen Wynne. And again, the meeting with Minister of Municipal Affairs, Ted McMeekin, was held on April 19th. On April 20th, the Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Children and Youth Services, Alex Bazina, visited Six Nations. And on the 20th of April was when we had the viewing of the palliative care videos. And the energy table that I talked about was held in Timmins, Ontario on April 21st. And on Earth Day, April 22nd, I was invited to Emily C. General School to cook some pancakes for the kids in honor of Earth Day. We also, further to our lobby we did in Ottawa in early March, we've also had a number of MPs that have contacted us and wanted to visit our community. And on April 22nd, David Sweet, who is the MP from Ancaster, visited our community. Later that evening, some of us attended the Everlasting Tree School Gala that was also held in Ancaster. I was also invited to bring greetings at a parent fair in Brantford that was held at the Civic Centre on April 23rd. And later that day, I joined with some community members at the Veterans Park as they gathered around a sacred fire to try and bring more awareness and help prevent suicide in our community. And on April 25th, myself, along with Peter Hill, the Environmental Health Director, Mike Montour, the Director of Public Works, and Ken Loft, the Maintenance Supervisor, and Kathleen Manderville from Indian Affairs, we did a health and safety inspection of all 5 schools in the community. It took all day, but it was good to get it done with. Later that week, Phil Montour and Lonnie Bomby and I were in Ottawa to meet with the Chief of Staff to the Minister of Indigenous Affairs, and we're pushing them to get back to the table to talk about our lands negotiations. On the 27th, we had our community meeting where we presented the results of the survey on waste management. And the next day, I participated in a panel and a presentation at Brantford. And it was called Women in Politics, and it was sponsored and hosted by BCI students, secondary students, and students from all the schools were invited. The keynote speaker there was Andrea Horwath, who is the leader of the NDP for Ontario, and I was a participant along with Catherine McGarry, who is the MPP from Cambridge, and Danielle Tagyix and Alex Falski, who were candidates in previous elections. On the morning of the 29th, Councillor Bob Johnson and I attended the Crime Stoppers breakfast at Hagersville Secondary School. And on May 1st, Council sponsored a first responders breakfast for all our first responders, our police, our ambulance, and our fire services. And as May 1st is First Responders Day, it was an opportunity for us to thank them for all the service they provide to our community. Later that evening, I traveled to Toronto to bring greetings at the opening ceremonies of the National Aboriginal Hockey Championships, which were held at the Hockey Hall of Fame in downtown Toronto. And that tournament took place in Mississauga the first week of May, and I understand that the girls, Team Ontario girls, won silver, and the Team Ontario boys played off for the bronze, but weren't successful. But good try by all those guys. I think we had one young man from Ontario, or from Six Nations, who was on Team Ontario boys team. On the 2nd of May, I was invited by the Lieutenant Governor to a reception that was held at her suite at Queen's Park, and it was an opportunity to meet Prince Harry, who was in Toronto to announce the Invictus Games, which will be held in Toronto in 2017. So that was an exciting event. And also that week, there was a team here that were meeting with a number of people related to the health accreditation for our health services, and I participated in some of those events. And as I mentioned, I attended the policing meeting with Minister Navkey and the Leadership Roundtable on Aboriginal Child and Youth Strategy. And on May 6th, we opened the bridge, so that was good news. Later that day, I also had some AFN staff visit our community in preparation for the AFN Assembly that's coming up in Niagara Falls, and which we are the host First Nation of. And on May 7th, I was at the Hamilton Regional Indian Centre to take part and make a small speech on the Opening Doors to Dialogue presentation, which is a continuation of work that's being done to bead panels that are going on some of the residential school doors. And then we were in New York, and on last Thursday, May 12th, I was at the Political Confederacy Chiefs of Ontario. So some of the upcoming events, we're getting busy. It's Community Awareness time. Community Awareness Week will run from May 15th to the 30th. And on May 16th, I was invited to a reception by the Lieutenant Governor in Toronto, and it was to commemorate the birthday of Queen Elizabeth, who has turned 90 this year. And on Tuesday, May 17th, everyone's invited to the Birthing Centre to celebrate their 20th anniversary from 3 to 7. There will be free food and entertainment. We also have the Debeywoon Justice Committee and the Aboriginal Justice Committee visiting Six Nations from May 17th to 19th. These committees were struck further to Justice Frank Iacobucci's report on First Nations and juries, and they'll be meeting here at Six Nations Polytech. I'll be making a presentation to them on Wednesday, May 18th, about justice and justice systems. And there is a buffet dinner from 5 to 8 on Wednesday, May 18th, which is open to the community members. Councillor Ray Merrick and I will be in Ottawa on Thursday, May 19th. I have a meeting with the Minister of Sport, Carla Qualtrough, to introduce our community, but also talk to her about what she could do to help get our lacrosse players into the United Kingdom on Haudenosaunee passports. I also want to talk to her about how we can work to get lacrosse as a game in the Pan Am Games and eventually the Olympics. And we'll also talk to her about the North American Indigenous Games. I had been seeking a meeting with the Minister of Finance, Minister Bill Morneau, but he's quite busy, but I am going to be meeting with some of his staff while we're in Ottawa on May 19th. And on the 20th, some of the staff and I will be going to meet with the Regional Director General of Indian Affairs in Toronto. And we want to put our priorities on the table with her with respect to the new federal budget that was announced by the federal government on March 22nd. I know the budgets haven't been allocated to the regions yet, but we're, going to get first bid in there and say these are our priorities once those budgets do come down. On May 21st, as part of Community Awareness Week, there will be a presentation of some barn quilts at noon at Tourism. And later that day will be our annual awards banquet and the presentation of the Wilma General Award and the Community Treasures Awards. And of course, Bread and Cheese is on May 23rd. Further to our lobby in Ottawa in March too, there were some people that we had meetings with and they cancelled, and one of them was Adam Vaughan, who is the Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister. So he's rescheduled that meeting, and I'll be meeting with him on May 25th in Toronto. And later that evening, I've been invited by the Brant Cadets to be a reviewing officer at their event in Brantford. And as part of Community Awareness Week, Council and the admin staff will be holding a barbecue out in the front of our building on May 27th. And on May 28th, I've been invited to attend the Mayor's Gala for Haldimand. That's Mayor Ken Hewitt's annual gala. And I understand that this year, part of the contributions are going to be made back to the Six Nations Food Bank. On June 2nd, Councillor Ray Miracle, Councillor Carl Hill, and myself will be attending the Ontario First Nations Limited Partnership Annual Assembly, which is taking place in Toronto. And on June 6th, Arliss Skye and I and the daycare staff will be meeting with the Minister Liz Sandals, the Minister of Education, to talk about childcare regulations and early learning. I've also been invited to attend the convocations of Wilfrid Laurier and Nipissing in Brantford on June 7th and 8th. And on June 16th, we've been invited to the Brantford Sports Recognitions Awards, which will be taking place in Brantford. And on June 17th, the Pen Pals group will be meeting at Chiefswood, and this is the group that has been in existence for some while under the leadership of Susie Miller. And on June 18th, I'll be taking part in the Pride Walk in Brantford. And on the 21st, we'll have our Solidarity Picnic at Chiefswood Park. On the same day, Woodland Cultural Centre will be hosting representatives of the Princess Charities who will be visiting the residential school in Brantford, and along with the Lieutenant Governor. So I'll be up there with those guys in the morning, and I'll be at the Solidarity Day in the afternoon. So I may not quite be there just when everybody starts. And on the 24th, I've been invited to address the Lutheran Church Eastern Synod in Mississauga. The All-Ontario Chiefs Conference is coming up at the end of June from 28th to 30th in Thunder Bay, and I'll be attending that with some councillors. And lastly, again, our annual AFN Assembly will be in Niagara Falls from July 12th to 14th, and we will be hosting a Six Nations celebration of artists on the evening of July 13th. So that was it for last month. As you can see, we're still pretty busy and getting out there, promoting our community and working hard to try and secure more resources to our community so that we can make sure that everybody lives a healthy and safe life here at Six Nations. So that's it for the past month. Nyawa.